In this episode of Daily Cyber, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the industry when it comes to cybersecurity and really catching up with you on how you're doing with the COVID-19 pandemic 3 months after it started. So let's hack at it. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, Usato. Usato is a Canadian-based cybersecurity company that provides 24/7 cybersecurity support and compliance service that align their customers' tolerance for risk, their clients, suppliers, and government contractual mandates. Usato's teams focus on using insights to drive business decisions. There's no need to leave strategies to chance, when insights can be used to show what changes need to be made and how to make them. Usato offers multiple services to help companies simplify IT, centralize cybersecurity management, and meet compliance standards. Usato can customize their service to work with your existing IT network and programs. For more information, contact Usato at info@uzado.com or visit their website at www.uzado.com. First, let me say, I hope you and your family are safe. I know this pandemic has been affecting all of us in all different ways, from personal health, looking after our families, our loved ones, to all the way to financial economy, our careers, our companies. Some people, have had to close down their companies after a certain amount of time just because they weren't able to cover the overhead and the cost, and not making any revenue, bringing anything in. So a lot of concerns that are going on in that side. So let's first talk about personally. How are you doing? How are how's your family? How are yourself? Are you okay through this pandemic? Comment below. I'd love to just to kind of check in, just make sure that everything's okay, that you're safe, that your family's safe. And, if there's anything that I could do, even just have a, conversation, let me know, just reach out, comment below, and we'll get connected. I think it's really important to kind of remind ourselves that we're human beings, and that's, our main principle is to support each other as humans, right? To really kind of be there. So like I said, that's one of the reasons why I'm reaching out and just really, through this podcast, trying to connect as with many people as I can, just to help, even have just conversations, just to know that you're not alone. There's people out there that care, and there's people out there that's willing to support you. So let's talk about what's going on, 3 months after now. We're kind of going through this pandemic. A lot of things are going on. People have been laid off. Some people are getting government assistance. I think it's in Toronto, it's $2,000 a month. We don't know how long that's going to go on for and how long the pandemic's going to go on for. We're hearing rumors about back to work strategies, which is great. That means the pandemic is starting to slow down, and then hopefully it's sizzles right out, and then people are back to work, and we're kind of back into connecting and, back to some sort of regular workflow and lifestyle. I think the lifestyle has changed since the pandemic started. I think there's a lot of changes that happened. I would say more to the positive. I know there was a lot of challenge that went on, but a lot of positive changes that have been happening. People are now more connected with their family, spending more time. I think our priorities have changed of, looking after, everyone else. I know, even talking with myself, there's certain times when you get so busy, you're thinking about all these other things about work and money and finances. And I think this really kind of resets to kind of go, what's really important in our lives. So that's kind of the good thing. Some people sadly have lost loved ones, and, people have been sick. So my condolences go out to you and your family. And now kind of moving forward, how do we, look at this now? How do we look at the pandemic? And something that I've been doing is just reaching out and connecting with people for both personally as well as professionally. And which brings me to kind of what's going on with companies and what's going on in the industry right now from my insight and from what I'm seeing. First and foremost, we're starting to see, or we actually saw, and I'm going to use the scenario here of, February, March, and what I've been hearing from companies when this first hit. It was kind of an overnight change. People were going, okay, we know there's going to be some impact to our companies, but does that really mean? And then when social distancing came out and the government was telling that people that had to, close down their business. All of a sudden now the, panic stricken. Okay, what do we need to do? Like, we need our employees to be able to work. We need to be able to set up some sort of, commerce solution so people can purchase. If they didn't have one set up before, now they need to make sure it's set up. And if it was set up, they need to make sure it's scalable, right? So if they get a rush of orders, how does that really look? Is there a system to be able to maintain that? And then they'll have to look at security, look at compliance, look at, testing to measurable results, to making sure it can hold the bandwidth and the influx of maybe purchases and procurement, and then making sure the data is secure. So all that had to be looked at. Remote users had to be looked at. Okay, how do we get them set up? Do they need laptops? Do they need desktops? Do they need VPN? Do they need endpoint protection? Do they need antivirus? Do we need policies, procedures? Do we have an acceptable use policy for remote users? And then what's our business continuity plan to make sure our business is still up and going? What's our cost cutting measures that we're implementing right now to make sure that we can last for, and that time was like 90 days, 90 days, maybe 6 months, when they were talking about disaster recovery, instant response. I'm just trying to think. All these things were the first initial kind of wave of discussion, and doing it overnight, not in the sense of it's a roadmap and we've got, the year to plan this out. No, we need to do this now. We have to make sure we're up and going within a short period of time. Some companies 24 hours, right? They had to start to implement these strategies or expand their current solutions to their whole company, right? They might have subsections of their company that were able to work from home or work remotely, but now they had to scale it to everyone. Right? And then they had to look at cost-cutting measures and making sure it was efficient, and making sure that they're doing it in a strategic way that's going to last and forecast. And some of them were forecasting for like 60 days, 90 days, right? Some of them even up to 6 months, just saying, okay, it could last longer. Now we're 3 months in, 90 days later, companies are now going, oh my God, okay, now we need to review everything we had to set up, or maybe we set up so quickly, now we have to go back and review it, right? Go back and do a breach analysis, a vulnerability assessment, a pen test, go look over our compliance, our documentation, any policies, procedures, making sure that they're all up to date. Right? And one of the reasons why, among others, that this is so important, especially with small to mid-sized companies, a lot of these guys have cybersecurity insurance. So what happens is their transference of responsibility is over to the insurance company. So if something ever happens, right, they go to the insurance company and say, look, we got a breach. We need your help. Can you, we're going to make a claim. We need money to be able to look at forensics, look at getting us back up as fast as going, and making sure that your data is recovered, all that great stuff. Well, if they do an audit and go, hey, your documentation, your systems weren't up to date for the pandemic, and what was how your kind of environment has changed, we're going to, reject your claim, and then you're on your own because you didn't do your due diligence of doing X, Y, and Z. Your policies are not up to date. Your systems are not up to date. You haven't done your endpoint protection. You didn't do that. It was all focused on, and your documentation is all focused on your previous environment prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. And now they get rejected. Now they're not only just down, now they're out of money and they don't have support financially to be able to do the things they need to do. So please, 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 first and foremost, make sure you go back, you take some time, if you haven't, and go and review all your documentation. Make sure you review all your policies and procedures. Make sure everything's up to date so that you are currently hardened to the current environment and everything's protected. Your cybersecurity maturity is up to now your current environment. It's going to take some time. I know it's going to be hard work among the other 30 tasks that you have on top of your plate right now, but it's so important to take a look at that. And let's talk about what's going on the managerial, executive, senior level environment right now, what they're dealing with. I've been hearing from people I'm talking to, colleagues and other experts in the field, who are myself as well as them, are talking to senior level people going, oh my God, I wasn't just busy before the pandemic. Now I'm extremely busy. I'm 5 times more busy. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm constantly working throughout the day, back-to-back meetings, getting documents completed, reports, things I need to do, putting out fires while answering the 300, 400, 500 emails I get per day in between my meetings as quickly as possible, or while I'm in the meeting trying to answer emails. Then when they're finishing meetings, they're trying to get their voicemails responded back to. They're actually going through and, maybe if they get a chance, grabbing something quick to eat and then going to their next meeting and going through this up until 11 p.m. to some of them are actually 1 a.m. in the morning, and they're just running. They're running. And I know the one person I talked to, they're doing this 7 days a week since it started. They need a break. They're going to burn out. Right? And we had this conversation with them together, and just knowing like there's only so much that you can handle. And their comment was that, you know what, I got to get this done. Like I got to keep us going. And that's the only reason why I'm pushing so hard, is because the business needs me to do this. Right. The board of directors, the senior levels, executives all are relying on each other to get these things done, and they're all that busy. So it's so important to kind of have that mindset of, what's going on in all areas of, our economy, our, all humanity, and looking at the companies. And it comes important when you look at security. When I'm reaching out to them, I'm finding that more and more people are so busy, they don't have the time to even just answer the phone. And I get that. I mean, understanding that scenario and knowing to see through what they're dealing with, I'm doing my best to be able to reach out and see if I can take 3, 4, 5 tasks off their plate so that they can actually keep going and, have a little bit of breathing room, just a small amount. And I think it's important to know where I'm coming from, because if you know me, you've been watching my podcast, you've been, following me for a little bit, my core value is about, helping people, from physical security to working in IT support to working in marketing. All my values was helping humans, whoever came into my office, right, whoever was on the phone, and then providing value. And, there's times like even when I was consulting, I would get in trouble because I didn't manage my time properly, because I wanted to help so much. So an hour meeting would go an hour and a half because I wanted to give them that extra half hour of value, just whatever I could do to help them, to get them, be successful, help them have a challenge, whatever that may be. So when I'm calling, it's because I've done my research. I'm looking at the companies that I feel are, I could help, or I can provide value, or I can just even, be a sounding board just to help out. I know they have, their teams, I know they have their people, but just to give them an outside, hand, because I know resources are limited right now, financials are limited. And the great thing is the company that I work for right now is Usado. The business, the president understands this as well. And having some in-depth conversations with him, Sean, he has talked to me and kind of really opened my eyes to remind me of what companies are going through, what our colleagues and business owners and people that we know are going through. And he set up systems right now for us to be able to do pro bono work, to be able to do free consultations, to be able to just to help with our colleagues and the people that we want to help out with, to just provide support through this pandemic, because both of us, himself and myself, realize that it's all about right now helping people while we're going through these hard times, providing any value, providing any information, answering any questions, or even just being a sounding board. Like, hey, I was thinking about doing X. I got 50 other things on my mind. What do you think about that? Because this is what the plan is, and then having experts on the phone, not myself necessarily, but my team of people that I work with that are experts in the field, be able to say, hey, that's a great idea. What about doing this, this, and this? And that will be more efficient. That'll cut some of your time down, and maybe you can get one of your team to do it. And being able to be available to just, be a sounding board and help out in those areas. I think it's extremely important, because there's so much going on to evaluate and to go through. It's overwhelming. So I think it's so important to understand that, there's certain people like myself, my boss, Sean, who's the president, Dominic, someone you've seen on my podcast, same thing. He's a colleague that I work with and I highly respect. He's doing the same thing. The guys that are deep in the environment and seeing everything that's going on are really reaching out now to see whatever we can do to help out, because it's going to take the tribe, the community, to help each other out to get through this and to come out, successfully. And this is my opinion, if we kind of look at trying to take constantly, we're going to find that there's going to be a dip, and then people are going to suffer and have harder times. My value is really, and if you get a call from me, my value is, and what you're hearing, if you hear my name, Brandon, oh my God, I'm calling because one, I'm interested in you. I'm looking to help. I'm looking to kind of see what I can do. And even if I get like 5 minutes of your time just to bounce some ideas and just see if there's anything I can do to help out, that's it. That's all I'm calling. I'm not trying to put an invoice. I'm not trying to meet a sales quota. I'm not trying to do all that. It's not even in my, in my task or even in my mindset right now. And the great thing is I've spoken to Sean, and he's in the same, we just need to help out. We need to help out in the economy. So let's talk about what some of the challenges that are going on right now to kind of give you an idea. I know I'm talking a little bit about this, but I wanted to hit that home because I know some people that are finding me on LinkedIn and finding me online are looking at this and kind of going, well, who's this guy? And, is he just another sales guy? I'm not. I'm telling you, watch all my podcasts, watch all my videos. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about, or even just spend 5 minutes on the phone with me and you'll see. So let's talk about some of the challenges that are going on in the industry right now. We talked about remote workers. Let's just kind of quickly recap that. The attack surface has changed right now, where attackers are now understanding that doing phishing attacks, sending, even look at clickbait, anything along that line to remote workers right now is ripe. It's just an increase right now. I think I was seeing was 141% increase. Was one of the articles I was reading, just because they know those people are so busy and they're not, how can I say it? They're not doing it maliciously. They might just be so busy with everything else they're dealing with. They make a mistake and they click on something that they shouldn't have, or they're so worried about what's going on in the economy. They're worried about the COVID-19 pandemic. They're clicking on clickbait links that have malware to it. And now they've downloaded that. And that's so important to know that, they're not being malicious, that it's just, you have to remind them, you have to kind of be present. You have to help them and support them through this pandemic of education, cybersecurity awareness, going through these strategies to make sure that they're aware. So phishing attacks have increased. Data protection. Something that I've been talking to more and more people about is the data at rest. When data is on a cloud solution, we see a lot of people are logging in through VPN, getting access to their data. I'm hearing more and more of the discussion of that the data is being actually downloaded to the local laptop, tablet, iPhone, whatever that may be, or smartphone, whatever the device that may be, is because what happens is their internet might be slow. There might be so many people at home working, or the kids are at home and they're taking up the bandwidth of the internet. So it's slower and they need to get work done. They need to submit the reports. They need that. So they're working locally. So they're saving it on a flash drive. They're saving it on an external hard drive, or even on the local hard drive of the actual device. And they're working away on it. Well, that device might not be secure. And the challenge with that is, as you know, as a company, as an owner, is that now if someone, they get compromised, malware, viruses, anything along that line, that data that should be secure is not now, and it's accessible. So look at your data at rest strategies and your protocols, and just make sure that you have those in place. Next is policies, procedures, documentations, make sure they're up to date. Breach response, incident response, data loss protection, continuity, business continuity. I'm just trying to think of any other documentation. Acceptable use policy. Make sure they're all up to date. If you don't have the cycles to be able to do it, reach out, find an expert in the field to be able to do that and help you out. You can reach out to myself. We have teams of people that are doing that. But yeah, just reach out, get those up to date, because what happens, like I explained about the insurance, those are not up to date and you do get breached. Now you're going to be rushing to make sure everything's up to date. Your security logs, your policies and procedure documentation, your endpoint protection, your patch management, everything's up to date, right? Your last backups, because you're going to want to look at how you're going to recover as quickly as possible and get up, especially now when things are hard and things are slow right now through the pandemic. So you can tell I'm excited about this. I'm talking really fast. And the reason why that is just because there's so much to go through, and it's concerning to me, to be honest with you. It's really concerning that there's so much going on and people are so overwhelmed with, what's happening in the industry that they don't have time to even breathe, right? They don't have time to take care of themselves. So I wanted to leave that, just kind of connect with you about what's going on in the industry. Again, check in with you just to see how you're doing through the pandemic. and let you know that myself and my team that I work with are there to help. Anything that you need, just reach out. We'll do our best to help you out and just be there and support you through this pandemic. So if you get a call from me, just let you know that that's what it's about, or call or email or even a direct message from any of the social media. That's what it is. I'm just reaching out just to make sure you're okay and just, see if there's anything I can do to take off your plate and help you through this pandemic. So that's it for today's Daily Cyber. Just remember, be safe. Hopefully your family and yourself are safe, and hopefully we get through this very quickly and it's over and we're back into this new way of life, new way of business. So just don't forget, software is hackable, being connected is vulnerable. I'll see you next Daily Cyber.